all hopped up about this. College football, I heard Doug on the air crying about it. The game's going to be unrecognizable, Gator.
No.
And I'm like, what?
No, that's small-minded, myopic, and
That's your college roommate.
And just wrong. Well, you know.
That's your boy.
Well.
Your boy.
Doug has great qualities, just not this one. But today, no. Here's the thing. The Supreme Court came down, and for everybody was like, well, I don't understand. It's no big deal. All they said is that the NCAA can now allow players to have, laptops post-graduation. They can go travel abroad. They can do these types of things. It's no longer considered extra benefits. But there's a couple of things that you take away from this, Mike. One, the Supreme Court unanimously came against the NCAA. That doesn't happen. In our divided country, you can't get all of them to say, no, we all agree on this.
Example, 2017, cancer sucks. It still went 7-2.
Yeah.
2 people voted against cancer sucking.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's that bad.
Pizza's good.
Who wants pizza?
There was a holdout.
I'd rather have a hot dog instead.
8-1.
So now you have all 9 of those people coming out saying, this is wrong. And I think what it did, the second thing is the levels that the NCAA will go in order to make sure that players do not get compensated, that you keep the amateurism, the thing that Doug wants. They took this to the Supreme Court. It was double talk. The NCAA, no, we're for the players. We're trying to help out the players. But secretly, they're hoping that the government bailed them out. They took this to the Supreme Court rather than come up with a way to share the revenues. No. We want the government to say, you can't have a dime. And the government very carefully said, and Justice Kavanaugh wrote, the NCAA is not above the law. This was after the ruling. The NCAA couches its arguments for not paying student athletes in innocuous labels. But the labels cannot disguise the reality. The NCAA's business model would be flatly illegal in almost any other industry in America.
So what does this mean for everybody sitting in their car right now? Like, what does this mean? Because all I care about is football.
I'm setting the table, Mike.
All right, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm setting the table. I want you to get all of this before I give you the punchline.
All right.
It means the Supreme Court told the NCAA, we're no longer backing you. We're no longer supporting you. The NCAA they were able to not pay players because some court would come out and say, well, because of amateurism, you can't do this. The NCAA had exemptions for not paying their players. It was wrong, but legally they had legs to stand on. The Supreme Court just knocked their legs away and said, you're on your own. We're not backing you anymore. You don't want to pay these people. You just say you're not going to pay them. You can't lean on the government anymore. And with this name, image, and likeness thing, if you bring this back to our court, we're telling you right now, your model is illegal. Don't come back and say, we don't want to pay them. You better pay the players because we're going to back the student athletes if this makes it back up to the Supreme Court again. And if the Supreme Court is saying this, Mike, then all the lower courts are going to agree with the Supreme Court saying, guys, fix it. The NCAA dragged their feet. They don't have a model. You have 19 states who have individual models, but the Supreme Court, rather than come up with name, image, and likeness, they tried to fight it. So what you're going to have is a little bit of a wild, wild west where, you're going to have recruits who will look at certain states as of right now and say, I can get more in Georgia than I can in Michigan. I'm going to go play in Georgia. I can get more in California than I can in Georgia. Maybe I'll think about going to California. Until it becomes uniform, which it hasn't, it's out there. Now, is it going to change sports? No, it's not going to change sports.
Then why was Doug all saying college football is going to be unrecognizable?
Because people hate new. College sports are the last things based in tradition. And your tradition is going out the window because players are saying, pay me my money. I'll play for your school, but you're not going to get rich off of my back. You're going to pay me something in order for me to go there. And if you don't, school B will, and I'll go play for them. It's no longer for the love of the game.
It never
was. For the old alma mater, for wearing the colors. That's what people.
That's Disney stuff.
That's what traditionalists see when it comes to college sports. The federal government said, no, that's wrong. Pay them you're making billions and you're crying broke like you can't pay these people. No, you absolutely will, because we're not sanctioning this anymore. That was the biggest thing to take away, is that their exemption gone. Government not backing them. They're on their own. Mom and dad just kicked you out the house.
Right.
And now you got to go out and do it for yourself, and they're not ready. They're not prepared. They've been a coddled trust fund baby, and they have no life skills.
So what happens next?
What happens next? In a couple of days, name, image, and likeness bills kick in for some states, and players for those states can now make money.
And the states that they don't are at a competitive disadvantage.
Yes.
How many states are in?
19 states are in, I believe.
Please tell me this ass backward state's one of them.
It is, but they didn't jump in early. I think for Michigan, it kicks in next year in 2022. Oh, my God. Now,
how are we going to get any players?
You'll get players. You're just not going to get
players who don't like money.
Well, here's what I think.
Which makes me question a kid's intelligence.
You're going to get states that expedite the process and move it up. Kind of how we saw with the vaccine, and hey, if you hit this percentage, we'll take away the mask mandate. And then they realize, look, everybody's opening up. Let's just go ahead and remove our mask mandates. Same's going to happen with this. States are going to just expedite this matter, and Michigan will say, you know what, rather than wait for 2022, August, you can make
they
money.
didn't do it with sports betting, and we missed football season.
Well, let me give you the correct date, and you're right, it's 2022, but it's not till the 31st of December of 2022. So basically 23.
What? How are we going to get any players?
Which means that for 2 entire football seasons, none of those guys can get paid. I got a feeling this is going to get changed. It's going to get expedited.
Are you reporting that?
I'm not reporting that, Mike, but it just
making sure.
You've been trying, boy, oh boy.
Listen,
no. Jimmy G, are you reporting that?
I just feel like there are opportunities to make news.
There are.
So is this going to like Doug was having a nervous breakdown about how the grand old game is going to be unrecognizable. Am I wrong for looking at this and going that when I'm watching the game, it will have no impact on me?
Yes, because I hate to say it, Doug's naive enough to think that this isn't going on already, that players aren't on the take. Most of them have something, whether it's given to the player, given to the family, given to somebody, and it gets funneled back to the player. The top players are going to the same schools for a reason. And for Doug and for people, the traditional people of college sports, you want to believe that Mike Valenti chose your school because he loves the tradition.
No.
He loves the colors. He wants to play for the coach and all the players that played before him. That's what you want to believe. You
I don't
can
care
believe that a
about
man
that.
will slide down the chimney.
Right. See, I don't. Let me throw the number out. I want to see if we can have a conversation about this because Doug made it sound like this was a seismic shift in the game. I just viewed it as the next step. Like
it's evolution.
Right.
The NCAA, it was the last sports organization to come into the new generation.
Well, it's the last one that's been allowed to openly exploit players.
Right.
And then
Baseball.
largely have old white people talk about how, well, there's great value in that college education, but yet those people won't admit that the schools don't let the kids study the programs they want to study because the schools are football factories.
Signing billion-dollar contracts and then saying, well, it's but once you start paying players, it's going to go wrong. No, you want to keep all the money. And that's how rich people stay rich.
Sounds like something else I know. 248-539-9790. They say. Inside joke. The point is 248-539-9797. Supreme Court has told the NCAA to kick rocks. You're going to have players getting paid. I mean, is this the end of the NCAA? I'd like to think so. Like, in a world where I never hear from Mark Emmert again, that would be amazing. But other than that, like, I don't know. The average fan doesn't get involved with this stuff. They don't know what players are getting paid. They don't know what it took to get the player to the school. They just watch the game on Saturday. So
nothing matters until you finally get that player who comes out and says, you know what? Tennessee offered me a better deal. I can make more money at Tennessee.
The BBG.
BBD. I can make more money at Tennessee than I can at Florida, so that's why I chose Tennessee over Florida.
But see, that wouldn't bother me because I was already assuming that Tennessee was going cash in the Mickey D's bag.
People don't want to believe it, Mike.
Well, those people are morons.
You believe there are a lot more morons out there than you want to believe.
Okay.
Because people think that college sports is the last pure thing.
It's not. It hasn't been pure. Here, do yourself a favor.
This is why Doug's upset.
All right. Well, then here's where I'm not advising Doug. I'm just saying if you're like Doug, or if you're one of these people who views it as pure, there was an article about a year ago. ESPN, and this was one of the pieces where ESPN actually acted like they cover sports. And it was all about the final days of the Southwest Conference. And you go, what the hell's the Southwest Conference? It's what came before the Big 12. And this is a deep dive into the corruption, the pay to play, the violations. Pure? Dude, this was in like 1988. And 5 years before that, it was SMU. And 5 years before that, you had MSU on probation. And 5 years, college football's never been pure. College football has been a playland of general scumbaggery for its entire existence.
Right. But you're only a scumbag if you get caught.
Okay, well, fair. I'm just saying now everyone's going to do it out in the open. What's the problem?
I mean, you look at Arizona State and Herm Edwards. Never thought you would hear Herm Edwards' name with scandal.
Well, I would caution you about a scandal. I really am not up in arms about what he allegedly did.
But some people are. Oh, my God, you snuck recruits into a suite during COVID? Weren't you thinking about the kids? They could have gotten sick. And he's like, yeah, I was trying to get players here.